All rise. The District Court of San Andreas is in session. The Honorable Judge York presiding.
Thank you. You may be seated at this time. All right, today we are here for San Andreas versus Rod Black. The case number is 21-16345. Let's start with seeing if all the witnesses and defendants are here. For the prosecution side, is everyone here for your witnesses?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, and defense, are all of your, is your defendant here? That doesn't look like
No,
your
Your Honor.
defendant.
My defendant is not here.
Your defendant is not here. All right,
No, Your
let
Honor.
me just mark that down here. Prosecution, just for the court, would you mind reading a brief statement of why we are here today versus Rod Black and the charges that are being brought against him?
Yes, Your Honor. The defendant is currently charged with possession of a firearm by a convicted felon, illegal possession of drug paraphernalia, possession of illegal contraband. This was all took place on the 27th of August. The current arresting officer is going to be Officer McLane. The defendant is currently out on bail. I'd like him to go into a synopsis of.
Yeah, just tell the court briefly what happened, if you don't mind.
Of course, Your Honor. So on August 27th, 2021, approximately 1900 hours, Officer McLane as well as Cappareli responded to calls of shots fired at Kincaid's Motel. They then, of course, noticed that the defendant had a vintage pistol pulled out and was trying to talk with the witness of the actual shooting. Now, because the defendant actually had a firearm out and was on the scene of a shooting, Officer McLane actually detained the defendant, realized from his previous experience with the defendant that he was a convicted violent felon, didn't have a gun license, and at that point placed the defendant under arrest. Now, after some time, there was, of course, a chaotic scene. It was found that the defendant's brother ended up having the same vintage pistol that the defendant previously had pulled out on his person. After that, of course, the defendant was fully searched, and a multitude of items were seized from him, including 8 bags of weed, 12 crack pipes, safe cracking tool, a hacking tool, other, of course, paraphernalia.
All right, thank you, Mr. Hall. Defense, since the defendant has failed to show and was released on bail of $84,420, that bail amounts will not be returned to Mr. Rod Black, and a failure to appear warrant will be issued. At this time, I believe we are going to go to default judgment unless there is any objections from prosecution or defense.
No objections, Your Honor.
All right, I'll be back in 2 minutes. Court is in recess.
Why did I go Supreme instead of District? Whoops.
Hello, everybody. I would ask the defendant to rise, but he's not here. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, in the case of San Andreas versus Rod Black, Mr. Rod Black has been found guilty of PC 2306, possession of a firearm by a convicted violent felon. In regard to PC 2220, illegal possession of drug paraphernalia, Mr. Rod Black has been found guilty. And on PC 3207, possession of illegal contraband, Mr. Rod Black has been found guilty. The bail of $84,420 will not be returned to Mr. Rod Black. And discussions will be had with CS bail bonds in regard to that. And we will be issuing an arrest warrant for Mr. Rod Black for failure to appear. Prosecution, I'm going to be issuing a 2-year hold for failure to appear because he is a convicted violent felon. At this time, court is adjourned. Thank you everyone for showing up. There is another court case in roughly 3 hours.
Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.